Ed, why is Nvidia doing this? Why now?
Yeah, I guess there's a question of why is Nvidia doing this, and then what does Synopsys get out of it? You know, so like Synopsys makes the software by which chips are designed but also validated. So before you send a chip through the fab to be manufactured, you want to know that that design works, and that's a big part of what Synopsys does with all kinds of tech companies. And so part of the interpretation of why is Nvidia doing this is it's a sales channel, because Synopsys is basically saying, imagine how good our software would be if it was underpinned by NVIDIA's GPUs and NVIDIA's catalog of software, which largely it's called CUDA-X. It's basically a library of building blocks for AI that just make existing software platforms better. And so the next thing you're going to ask me about is probably circular financing. But from NVIDIA's perspective, you know, it gives them entry to a tool or a platform that lots of people are using.
But why? I mean, Synopsys wants to have NVIDIA as a customer, right? Like, yeah. So why did they need
Correct.
to? Like, what does that $2 billion investment do? Right? Like,
so this is like highly analogous with the Intel situation, and it's highly analogous with the Nokia situation. And so this year, I've had two specific opportunities to ask Jensen Huang, what's the rationale behind taking a stake? Like, why do you need to own between 2 and 3% of these companies? And his answer is always, I thought it would be a great investment and that in the future that investment will pay off. So Nvidia got these Synopsys shares at $414.79 a piece. The stock's now higher than that. I can't see it on the screen. $440 a piece. But I remember back in October when we were in DC, I asked the same question of Jensen, why did you have to take almost 3% of Nokia? And he was like, well, it looks like a pretty genius move now, doesn't it? Because Nokia shares are up 20%. And I just, like, in the moment, I couldn't believe that was his answer. But he genuinely believes that it's going to be a great investment because he sees those engineering partnerships changing the respective fields that they're going into.
Okay, Ed, we only have 3 minutes left, but there's two more stories we want to hit with you. One is DeepSeek, because China's DeepSeek unveiled 2 new versions of an experimental AI model that it released weeks ago. It adds fresh capabilities the startup said would help with combining reasoning and executing certain actions autonomously. I'm old enough to remember earlier this year when a DeepSeek update comes out and tanks shares of Nvidia. We don't see that, and we haven't seen that. Where is DeepSeek when it comes to competition?
Okay, so DeepSeek v3.2 has been out for a number of weeks now in the form of DeepSeek v3.2 EXP, experimental. They just dropped the EXP bit. And it's an open source model that, against benchmarking, performs very well against GPT-5, OpenAI's latest model. Where they've made a difference in this open source world is that, like OpenAI, DeepSeek wants to make the tool more useful. So they have the human reasoning element. It parrots the behavior of a human, but it applies the tool in a more useful way. Markets reacted in January through April the way they did because they didn't understand how DeepSeek had achieved that performance for a model at the low cost point that it did.
Does the world need to be worried? Or I guess, like, how does this fit in? How competitive is it, real quickly?
It's competitive.
Okay.
Models at this scale have tens of billions of parameters or more. And what DeepSeek did is called mixture of experts, or MOD designs, where if you have a 100 billion parameter model, when you run the inference, you actually run it. You don't need to access all 100 billion parameters. They found a way of just accessing, say, 10 billion parameters or 60 billion parameters, which makes the cost of running it and the compute much more efficient. Yeah. So the model is as performant, it's just easier to run.
I do feel like everything's now about efficiency in terms of power use and just getting things done. Hey, what do we need to know about Masayoshi Son, the SoftBank founder, who said he wouldn't have sold off Nvidia shares of his company, had unlimited money to bankroll its next investments in artificial intelligence? Is there something important here that we should acknowledge?
All you need to know is that he wishes he hadn't sold it, but he didn't have enough money. He needed more money. So he sold the thing that could get him money, Nvidia shares, and then he used it to invest in the thing he thinks will make him more money in the future, OpenAI. And it's as simple as that.